Welcome to our deep dive, everyone. Today, we're headed out to sea. We're going to be talking about mega cruise ships, specifically Royal Caribbean's Star of the Seas. I know a lot of you are really curious about this one, and its upcoming launch. You know, all the hype and everything, especially since it's being called the next icon of vacations. They really want to follow in the footsteps of its award-winning sister ship.
Yeah, it's definitely created a ton of buzz, hasn't it?
For sure.
I think one of the biggest things is just how ambitious this project is, the sheer scale of it.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you think our listeners should know about Star of the Seas, especially as we get closer to this grand launch?
Well, the first thing is it just hit a really big milestone, the float out. This happened back on September 25th, 2024, at the Meyer-Turku shipyard in Finland.
Okay, for those who maybe aren't super familiar with the shipbuilding, what exactly goes into a float out?
Well, it's a pretty dramatic event, you know? It's when they move the ship from dry dock to the water for the very first time. Imagine 92 million gallons of water, 4 tugboats, and get this, they fire a cannon to mark the occasion.
Whoa, that's pretty wild. I was watching the behind-the-scenes video. It really captures how massive this whole thing is.
Yeah, really shows the incredible engineering and manpower involved.
Yeah.
After the float out, they actually move it to this outfitting pier, and that's where they start adding all the final touches, you know, really bringing the Star of the Seas to life.
Wow, so they're going from like a massive structure to like this fully functional, luxurious vacation destination.
Exactly.
That's so cool. So that brings us up to the next stage, which is sea trials.
Yes, and these are super important. They basically run the ship through a bunch of tests before passengers ever step foot on it.
That's interesting because you hear about sea trials, but I bet most people don't even know what's involved in those.
It covers a lot of ground. Everything from speed trials to maneuverability tests. Like, they even do crash stops, turning circle tests.
Whoa, crash stops. That sounds kind of intense.
Well, it's all about safety,
Right.
making sure the ship can handle an emergency situation.
Of course, yeah.
They also do endurance trials to look at the propulsion system, and sea-keeping trials, that's to see how the ship does in rough waters, noise and vibration tests to make sure passengers are comfortable.
It sounds like these trials are crazy thorough. Like they're really not messing around.
Oh, absolutely. They even do a blackout test, so they simulate like a complete loss of power
Oh, well.
to make sure that the backup systems are working properly.
Okay, so the Star of the Seas has already passed its float out, and it's going through all these sea trials. What does the timeline look like? When is this thing officially launching?
So there have been some minor setbacks just due to construction. It was supposed to debut on August 17th, 2025, but now it's looking more like August 31st.
Oh, bummer. Those construction delays, you know, they're always annoying, but like better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about something as huge as this ship.
For sure. And once it does finally set sail, Star of the Seas will be doing 7-night Caribbean itineraries. They'll be leaving from Port Canaveral.
Oh, the Caribbean, now you're talking. That's a classic cruise destination. Any hints about like where they'll be stopping?
Well, one of the stops is Royal Caribbean's private island, Perfect Day at Coco Cay.
Ooh, just the name sounds like a paradise. I can already picture like the crystal clear water and those white sand beaches.
Oh, and don't even get me started on what's happening on board. We're talking about 6, count them 6, record-breaking water slides. They have 7 pools, over 40 different dining and beverage options, new entertainment.
Hold on, wait. 6 record-breaking water slides? Okay, now that's on my bucket list.
They're really pulling out all the stops. And get this, they even have these neighborhoods that they've designed called Thrill Island and Chill Island. So it really caters to, like, what kind of vacation you're looking for.
I love that. It's like you can choose your own adventure. So we have a better idea of the timeline, the itineraries, and some of those insane features.
Yeah.
But why do you think there's so much hype around this? Like, what is it about Star of the Seas that's really capturing people's imaginations?
Well, I think part of it is our fascination with these mega cruise ships in general, you know, that push to go bigger and bolder to see how far we can take things. But it's also about the escape, you know. They're positioning Star of the Seas as this self-contained world of adventure, luxury, and nonstop entertainment.
Yeah, like a total departure from everyday life.
Exactly.
It's almost like a floating city, just designed to make your wildest dreams come true.
You got it.
So we've talked about construction, sea trials, all the buzz, and now we know the big debut is on the horizon. What do you think our listeners should be most excited about as we get closer and closer to the launch?
That's a good question. I think it's the potential for a truly transformative vacation experience. The ship isn't just about throwing a bunch of cool amenities together, it's about pushing the boundaries of what a cruise can be.
Yeah, it really does feel like they're trying to redefine what a cruise can be with this one. What stands out to you as the most innovative or like game-changing part of this whole thing?
Hmm. I think the whole concept of Thrill Island versus Chill Island is really interesting.
Yeah.
It shows that the cruise industry is changing. They're trying to create these personalized experiences now. It's not just one size fits all anymore.
Okay, I'm really curious about this. Tell me more about these islands. Like, what's actually there?
So imagine like Thrill Island is a total adrenaline junkie's paradise, like those record-breaking water slides we were talking about.
Right.
They have a ropes course, a surf simulator, maybe even a rock climbing wall.
Okay, so would it be safe to assume that I would be over on Chill Island?
Yeah.
Like lounging by the pool with a drink in my hand?
You got it. Picture like a serene oasis,
Huh.
big pool decks, hammocks swaying in the breeze, maybe even an adults-only section for ultimate relaxation.
This is genius. It's like two totally different vacations all rolled into one. You can literally pick your adventure.
And I think it shows that people just want options. They want to be able to customize their experience when they travel. It's not like the old days where everyone just did the same thing.
Right. Makes sense. Plus, I bet it's a really smart move for the cruise lines too, right?
Absolutely.
If they can offer something for everyone, then they can attract so many different kinds of people.
It's all about expanding their market and getting people who maybe wouldn't have even thought about a cruise before to book one.
For sure. We've talked about thrills, chills, the places they're visiting,
Yeah.
but we can't forget about the food.
Oh, yeah. You can't talk about a vacation, especially a cruise, without talking about the food.
It's such a big part of it.
And from what I've seen, the Star of the Seas is really upping their game. They have something like over 40 different dining and beverage spots.
Okay, now you're talking my language.
Mhm.
What kind of stuff are we talking about? Did anything catch your eye?
So they're bringing back some favorites from the icon of the seas, like the celebration table over at Hooked Seafood, but of course with their own little twist.
Oh.
But there's this new place that sounds amazing. It's called Starlight Lounge.
Ooh, Starlight Lounge. Intriguing. Tell me more.
They're describing it as super sophisticated with live music, panoramic views, and, wait for it, molecular gastronomy.
Hold on. Molecular gastronomy, like
Well,
the
wait.
whole science meets cooking thing.
Yep, that's the one.
The foams, the spheres, all that.
Exactly. It's about pushing culinary creativity to the next level, making food that's both visually stunning and delicious.
I have to admit that both intrigues me and intimidates me, but it definitely sounds like an experience I'd want to try.
And I think that's the beauty of this whole ship. They have such a range of stuff to do, from the super familiar to the totally avant-garde.
I love that. Speaking of experiences, let's talk about entertainment. What kind of shows and performances can we expect to see?
Well, one of the big announcements has been the debut of Back to the Future, the musical.
I'll love that.
As a bit of a theater nerd myself, I'm pretty excited about that one.
That movie's a classic. I can already picture the DeLorean, cruising across the stage.
I know, right? But beyond that, they've been pretty tight-lipped about what else they have planned, which makes me think they're really going to blow us away.
Oh, a little mystery always adds to the excitement.
Right. And given the whole, star theme, they could really go wild.
Totally.
I mean, imagine holographic concerts under the actual stars, or some crazy immersive show that transports you to another planet.
Now, that is what I call entertainment.
It all comes back to that idea of creating an experience that you'll never forget. Like Star of the Seas isn't just a ship, it's its own little world.
A floating world of endless possibilities. It sounds like they're really going all out to bring that to life.
Oh yeah, they're definitely aiming to set a new standard for the entire cruise industry.
But with all this focus on being the most innovative and extravagant, do you think they might be losing sight of what makes a cruise vacation so special in the first place?
That's an interesting point. I think it's important to keep in mind that even with all the bells and whistles, a cruise should still be about relaxation and exploration and making memories.
Yes, exactly. It's about getting away from it all and connecting with the people you love and the ocean, maybe even discovering a new part of yourself.
And I think Star of the Seas has the potential to do both. They have all these crazy things to do, but they also have that focus on chills and relaxation. So it really gives people the freedom to create their own perfect vacation.
So as we get closer to this launch, what's the main thing you want our listeners to keep in mind?
I would say keep an open mind. This ship is really pushing the boundaries of what we think of when we think of cruises. So embrace it all, be ready for some surprises, and get ready to be wowed.
I love that. Embrace the unexpected. That is the perfect motto for anyone going on this ship.
Because sometimes the best travel experiences are the ones that surprise us the most,
Oh,
the ones that challenge what we think we know and leave us with a sense of wonder.
okay, so with that in mind, let's think about what kind of impact the Star of the Seas might have on the entire cruise industry. What kind of ripple effects do you think we might see because of this ship?
Oh, that's a great question, because this isn't just a ship, it's like a statement. Royal Caribbean is basically saying, this is the future of cruising.
Totally. So how do you think the other cruise lines are going to respond to this? Are we going to see a bunch more of these mega ships pop up, each one trying to top the last?
It's possible, yeah. It might turn into this kind of arms race. Who can build the tallest water slide,
Hmm.
who can offer the fanciest food, who has the most mind-blowing shows.
Right, like this competition to one-up each other. But that also brings up the question of sustainability. If these ships keep getting bigger and more extravagant, how are they going to balance that with protecting the environment?
That's a huge question and one that we need to keep asking. It's awesome to have all these bells and whistles, but not if it's hurting the planet, right?
That's her.
I'll be interested to see how the Star of the Seas specifically addresses these issues, especially because people are becoming more and more eco-conscious these days.
This ship is bringing up so many interesting questions about the future of cruising. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Definitely one to keep an eye on, and I think this really highlights how important it is for travelers to do their research. Think about what your values are and pick a cruise line that matches those values.
So true. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you can feel good about the vacation you're taking.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and get back to the Star of the Seas. We've talked about the big picture, the features, what it all means for cruising, but I'm curious, what details really stood out to you as you were reading up on this? What got you excited?
There are so many things. But honestly, one of the things that really caught my attention was how much detail they put into making those neighborhoods feel so immersive. Like it's not just about having different activities, it's about creating a whole different atmosphere in each one.
Totally. They even have their own dining and entertainment venues, all specific to each island.
It's like each one has its own personality, its own story.
I think that's what makes the Star of the Seas so special. It's not just throwing things together randomly. They've really thought about creating this really cohesive, immersive world for people to step into.
But you're not just on a ship, you're exploring a whole new place.
Exactly. And that feeling of discovery, of being transported somewhere new, that's what makes a vacation really special.
You know, you're a bit of a history buff. Did anything in the research about the shipbuilding process itself stand out to you?
You know me too well. Yes, actually. Learning about that float-out ceremony really caught my imagination. I mean, the sheer scale of it, the skill it takes to move something that huge from dry land to the water, it's mind-blowing.
I know, it's like watching a building come to life. And the fact that they still use millions of gallons of water and these powerful tugboats to do it, it's so dramatic.
It really is. And it got me thinking about how important shipbuilding has always been, how this ancient craft has evolved over centuries to produce these massive engineering marvels.
From wooden ships to, like, these floating mega cities. It's wild to think about how far we've come.
It really shows human ingenuity, our desire to explore and innovate. It's pretty inspiring.
It is, to think about all the people who came before us, who dreamed of sailing the seas, of pushing boundaries. And now with ships like the Star of the Seas, those dreams are becoming a reality.
It reminds us that nothing is impossible if you can dream it and if we work together to make it happen.
I love that. It's a great reminder. Okay, so let's talk about the people who are actually making all this happen. The ones behind the scenes making this vision a reality.
You're talking about the engineers, the shipyard workers, the crew members, the ones who are putting their heart and soul into this project.
Exactly. Their skill, their dedication, that's part of the story of this ship too. And we have to acknowledge them, right? Because without them, this incredible feat of engineering would still just be on paper.
Absolutely. It takes so many people to bring a ship like this to life. It's this beautiful collaboration of talent and passion.
I think that's such a good reminder. Even in this age of high tech and everything being automated, the human touch is still so important. It's that drive to create, to build something amazing that makes all of this possible.
It's what gives these ships their soul.
And speaking of soul, let's get back to entertainment. We talked about that Back to the Future show. But what other surprises do you think they have up their sleeves?
Ugh, the mystery is killing me. I'm so curious to see what they're planning.
Okay, let's play a little game. What kind of awesome over-the-top shows do you think they might have?
Okay, I'm gonna say a Cirque du Soleil style show, but with an aquatic theme, or maybe inspired by the constellations.
Oh, stop. A Cirque du Soleil show under the stars with acrobats flying through the air. That would be
I
incredible.
know, right? Or picture this, a holographic concert with Elvis or Michael Jackson.
Now, that would be a show I'd never forget. Elvis back on stage, singing under the stars. I mean, the technology is there. It could totally happen.
The possibilities are endless on a ship like this, you know.
Yeah.
And knowing Royal Caribbean, they love to push the envelope. So I think we can expect some truly spectacular things.
I'm already getting chills just thinking about it.
It's crazy how powerful entertainment can be, right? It can transport you, make you feel things you never expected, create memories that last a lifetime.
And when you're on vacation, that's exactly what you want. To just get swept away, forget about your worries, and be in the moment.
Exactly. And I think that's something that the Star of the Seas is gonna nail.
It sounds like they've thought of everything. The
Yeah.
thrills, the chill spots, the food, the shows.
Yeah, and it all comes back to giving people choices, letting them design their own ideal vacation experience.
Like a choose your own adventure,
Yeah.
but on this epic scale.
Exactly. And I think that's really powerful. It's about putting the power in the traveler's hands to create their own memories.
Because that's what travel's all about, right? The
Right.
freedom to explore, to discover, to experience new cultures, and to grow as a person because of it.
So well said. And that's the spirit that the Star of the Seas seems to embody, this idea of adventure and exploration.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what do you think our listeners should be most looking forward to as this ship gets closer to launching? What are your final words of wisdom?
Get ready to be amazed. This ship is a game changer. It's about innovation, about human potential, and about the possibilities that come with travel. So keep an open mind, expect the unexpected, and get ready to embark on a journey that will stay with you long after you've left the ship.
I love that. Open your mind and expect the unexpected. The perfect advice for anyone setting sail on the Star of the Seas.
Because sometimes the best experiences are the ones that surprise us, that challenge us, and that leave us with a sense of wonder.
So well said. I think that's the perfect place to transition into our final thoughts about the Star of the Seas. But first, I want to give you, our listener, a moment to reflect on what we've talked about. What are you most excited about? What questions are still on your mind?
We can't wait to hear what you're thinking as we continue this exploration together.
All right, let's set sail for the grand finale. All right, so as we wrap up our deep dive into the Star of the Seas, I want to touch on one more thing that really stuck with me.
Okay, I'm curious. What is it?
You know, we've talked about all the cool new features and the size and how impressive this ship is, but what really stood out to me was the history behind it all.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's easy to get caught up in all the new stuff, but there's a whole story behind shipbuilding that's pretty amazing.
Right, like that float-out ceremony we were talking about.
Okay.
That goes back centuries, and they still fire a cannon. It's like we're connected to all those shipbuilders from the past.
It's true. It reminds us that we're part of this long line of people who've always wanted to explore, to see what's out there. And the Star of the Seas, it feels like the next chapter in that story. A ship that's both looking back at the past and ahead to the future.
Exactly. It's not just about the ship itself, it's about that human spirit, that drive to explore and create and push the boundaries.
And I think that's what's going to make the Star of the Seas so special for the people who sail on it. It's a ship that really captures that sense of wonder and possibility and adventure.
That's a great way to put it. Well, I think this is a perfect place to wrap up our deep dive into the Star of the Seas. We've covered a lot, from how it's built and tested to all the incredible things it has to offer and what it might mean for the future of cruising.
And we even got to talk about the history of shipbuilding, which is always fascinating.
But most importantly, we did this for you, our listener. We wanted to give you everything you need to know about the Star of the Seas.
Hopefully we've sparked your curiosity and got you thinking about taking your own journey on this amazing ship.
So as we sign off, we want to encourage you to keep exploring, keep dreaming, and keep an open mind when it comes to travel.
Who knows? Maybe someday soon you'll be standing on the deck of the Star of the Seas, looking out at the horizon, feeling that same sense of wonder and excitement that we've been talking about.
Until then, bon voyage.
Happy travels, everyone!